Hello everybody. Welcome to the channel if you're new, and welcome back if you're already a subscriber. We're all just gonna let everybody kind of get on and settled, and I'm just gonna kind of play with placement a little bit and just make sure everybody can see everything. Perfect. So we've got a lot to go through this afternoon. I hope everybody is doing well. Just getting everything pulled up on my end. Perfect. Obviously, there's a little bit of a different setup happening today. So I'm actually at Jeff's today, and we are hoping to catch the super fancy December meteor shower situation that's supposed to happen in the very wee hours of the morning. But as you guys know, if you hang out with me pretty often, we're pretty early risers, so that's not really out of the norm. But he is downstairs working on some of his stuff, and so I decided that we could make this work and watch the meteor shower and get the live stream all underway at one time. So we're going to get started here shortly, but while everyone is hopping on, I am going to talk about my wine a little bit for tonight. So if you guys are following along using the Advent calendar from In Good Taste like I am, and I'm sorry if there's like any shadows or glare. Obviously this isn't my normal setup, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. But for the most part, I don't think it's gonna mess up too much, but there's definitely a little bit of shadow from the light right behind this camera. There's really no way for me to set it up and not kind of have some kind of a shadow, but we'll see what we can do. But if you guys are following along, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm already annoyed with this whole scratch and reveal nonsense. I really liked the catalog from last year, so I'm not the biggest fan. But today's wine is actually a very easy drinking white wine. It is the La Pluma, and it's from Portugal. The notes are lemon zest, guava, and apple. Whenever I was watching the videos and stuff today, it just said it was like a very easy drinking. You didn't have to pair it with anything. I'm not always really concerned with the pairings, and we're actually having chili, which is probably not the best thing to drink with white wine, but the white wine will probably be gone by the time I even eat the chili, so I think it's not gonna matter at all. But that is what I am enjoying off to the side. So let me know if you guys have got a cocktail or a mocktail even. Let me know, because it is Wine Wednesday. So all right. Perfect. Well, we're gonna go ahead and dive in just to be polite to time frames, and I would love to get to dinner at some point. But I'm gonna put the Kokuyo and the Hobonichi Avac off to the side and go through these two first, because they are usually the easiest to go through and kind of the most minimal that get updates. So this is my budget planner, which, if you guys, sorry, I cannot control that noise. If you guys have watched my 2024 setup video yet, then you will know that this is kind of coming forward with me into 2024, but it's just going to get like a different facelift situation. So it's going to almost serve as a bank, for lack of better phrasing. I've got my envelopes here in the back, which I'm trying to cache stuff as many as I possibly can before we get started with the new year. I think I've released a little bit of the anxiety that I have to have all of Q4 stuffed in there. Like, I'm not rushing to get it all done. If I'm out somewhere shopping, I'll go ahead and get cash back and put a little bit away. And I think that that's been helping too, with kind of like siphoning it out a little bit. It seemed a little less jarring to my account as I prep for this, but this will serve as the kind of reservoir of where all of the cash envelopes are going to stay until they go into the wallet that's going to be in my purse. And beyond that, I might put a couple sheets in here about like pre-planning, but just kind of getting into where I left off. I definitely spent a good bit of November just making sure to get back in the habit of tracking. One thing I did change is that I am tracking it all, whether it's a bill, whether it's groceries, whether no matter what it is, I'm making sure to track it, because I feel like hey Jay, how are you? One of the biggest things with expense tracking to me and that I struggle with the most is, and I've talked about this a good bit, is having a budget, but then also kind of how that disperses out. So going into the new year, I'm going to set my number at 150. I know with everything going up, that could end up being a lot more challenging than I'm willing to admit. And I'm willing to flex with that number, but I do think it's possible to at least start there and evaluate. So for right now, 150 a week. Well, I say a week, but every 7 days is going to be my goal. So part of that is just getting in the habit of tracking again, and know that 150 does not include bills, gifts, and some quarterly expenses and certain bigger expenses. So if I need car repair stuff done, or like in March, I will have to renew everything because my birthday is in March. Those things won't factor into it. The 150 is merely groceries, gas, and kind of incidental fun things. So just making sure that restaurant spending is kept to a minimum, or takeout and things of that nature, and obviously not going to Target on a shopping spree. But September and October, I really did a bad job with tracking. I think that was just due to vacation and everything just kind of feeling off. But I do use these older expense tracker sheets from Happy Planner. They have since updated them, and they are absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. So feel free to check those out. I think that they're great, and I think that they're handy. And I have a ton of Happy Planner supplies. Like I make I would say a bill pay checklist type of thing that usually sits in the front. I haven't even filled one out for December yet. It's kind of been in a bunch of different notepads. And I think I've been more excited about setting up planners for the new year. And that being said, I know next week's video live stream that we're going to do is going to be the 2024 setup side. But I think it's going to start featuring some things that might be more January 2024. So we'll see what ends up getting viewed. But I'm not the best about planning a whole year or even quarterly. I feel like sometimes that's just too much to lop into a planning session for me, because that's how I tend to write a bunch of things down and then don't get them done. But as you can see, I haven't even filled out my December bill pay checklist, but I have been doing okay on the tracking. I still have a lot to fill in. There was a lot of Christmas and grocery shopping over the last few days, so I have quite a bit to fill in, but more or less that's kind of it for the budget planner. It's really simple. The goal is just to track. Again, if you guys were on last week, then you would have seen kind of what I'm hoping to use in the new year to make it a little bit easier for me to fill out and be a little bit more consistent. Jeff is creeping up the stairs behind me. He's doing very good at it. But we're going to move over to the fitness planner, which got significantly neglected over the last month. My hip is still hurting from my 3-mile run in October when I got back from my trip, and I really wish it felt better, but especially with the fact that I love to run. So I'm kind of having to look into maybe some alternative methods. So if anybody else has some suggestions, let me know. Probably more yoga and Pilates would be good for me. And stretching, and probably a chiropractor or massage to get the rest of it out. But even though it's not good for me, I am running and trying to work out when I can, mainly just for mental health. I think we can all agree that sometimes there's just those exercises that keep us sane, along with our crafting. So just kind of starting off with November. I did try to bring back a tracker page of some type and also a reminder to pick up some supplements. Some of those I've gotten, some of those still need to be purchased. But I do love having these little side tracker pages. And I think I'll see more of them into 2024. I think it's easier to sometimes break down a category, especially something like health and fitness, into smaller, very easy to do daily things that just help keep us on track. I would love to track my temperature more and learn more about how to work with my cycle. I know I've talked about that at length before, but I do think that there is an extreme value. I know every female is different as well, so that should factor into it. But for me, in my particular case, I can definitely tell I'm entering a phase of my cycle where I have a lot of energy and I'm very committed to my goals and planning and eating a little bit better. And I'm into working out and staying consistent and taking my supplements, like all the good healthy things, which ironically is not supposed to coincide with this particular phase. So I would love to do more research on that. Also, let me know if the picture is weird for you guys, because I'm not 100% certain with the signal. Okay, yeah, I just refreshed it, so it looks like it's okay. So sorry, that was like a false alarm. Also, I can zoom this in if it's too far out, but I think you guys can see pretty good. So you'll see some of these days I was really good about tracking my temperature. I was good about getting up at 5 a.m. again. I think some of the things that I struggle with the most to stay consistent with are things that I would almost consider like a luxury thing, like taking supplements or eye creams or face masks. Like sometimes that can get a little much for me. You'll also notice that I did try to start tracking my energy and mood. And again, that goes hand in hand with the temperature tracking. So if I'm tracking my temperature, tracking my cycle, and my mood and energy, after doing that for a few months, I really think that I could see some major shifts and changes with actual progress if I'm refreshing and rejuvenating when I need to, and I'm going full force when my body can let me. So just kind of body hacking and mind hacking a little bit is definitely what I want to see more of in the new year. This next week, you can definitely tell it was a full drop off. So we're not tracking temp very much. I think I had the best of intentions to have this great, I'm going to do a workout on Tuesday and then on Thursday. And I think I was going to like list them out a little bit, but that just past Tuesday didn't happen. Into the next week, I don't think these runs were it. The run that like did me in was like way in October. There it is, October 18th. So my hip has literally hurt since the 18th of October, which is wild to me. But then I've still gotten in some like 30-minute treadmill runs. I don't think I've gotten over 30 minutes really, and that's even a little bit much. Today I did a mile and then did a lot of body weight stuff with some minimal weight as well. And it hurts so bad today after everything. I probably should not be sitting on the ground like this. But I have tried to get back into MadFit. I know that my membership is going to expire on the 28th. If you guys have ever tried out the MadFit videos, you can check her out over, she's got her own separate YouTube channel. Her name's Maddie. I don't know her last name. And she's also got an app. They do have like end of the year deals. And I wish that I had worked with the program a little bit more, but I do like her style of workouts. Asana Rebel is another one that I really enjoyed. I haven't settled on if I'm going to be doing a program in 2024, like a 6 or 12 week or anything like that. In the essence of trying to be frugal, I am most likely going to just dive into my stash and see what I already have, because I do have some workout fitness books that I would like to revisit that I kind of used in COVID. I think I got actually through 11 weeks, and maybe even there was like a prep course, and then I just stopped cold turkey because the workouts were getting so long that it just didn't make any sense, and it was making me very cranky. And I'm just a type of person that when I get to a certain point with body weight, or not body weight, but actual weight exercises, I feel like I'm walking around like Frankenstein all the time. Like I get very rigid. So I'm looking at maybe doing the weights workout book that I have, but then also trying to incorporate something like Pilates or yoga where I have to actually go to a class, which will make me actually do it and enjoy everyone else's company. And there are a lot of cool yoga venues and yoga type of things that I've been wanting to try, like aerial yoga classes and things to keep it fun. And I think that that's a really big thing to keep in mind if you're making health and fitness and working out any kind of a goal in the new year. Just keeping in mind what works best for you personally, your body, and your schedule. I know a lot of people that can make a Monday through Friday work for them. I'm definitely not one of those people. My workout week starts on a Wednesday. And that's worked out really well for me for quite some time because Mondays and Tuesdays I'm very busy in the office unless it's kind of an off week. So I think it's super important that I don't have to think about coming home and also doing a workout and also cooking dinner. And I kind of come at meal planning in the same approach. So I try to make sure that Mondays and Tuesdays are leftovers or quick meals. Still here in Atlanta, it really has not, a lot of places are still closed on Mondays. So I really do have to kind of forward think a little bit, make sure I at least have leftovers or some kind of a plan for that. Thankfully, some of my favorite spots are still open on Monday or reopened at this point. So just throwing that in there if we're talking about working with your schedule, which I'm a huge believer in. Keep that in mind as you guys are making your planners out for the 2024 season. Obviously, this is the week of Thanksgiving, so you'll see it just completely tank. Jeff actually had family in town, and I know if you guys have seen that plan with me, you'll know all about that and how fun that was. But it was a very full week, and by Friday I was exhausted, and by Sunday I did get the chance to sneak in a little bit of a workout, and you'll see a 3-mile run with a really good pace, and I've still got hip issues, so don't know what to do other than to keep trucking along and irritating it, I think. And then this past week, so not this past week, that's a lie. So that last week of November, I did write in a 2-mile brisk walk. I wondered if maybe not running, but just steady walking would help. Still aggravated it. And the pace is terrible. It's like 18:11, which of course I was walking instead of doing intervals. Again, I've gone back to 30 minutes. Today, when I got on the treadmill, I only did a mile. I also ran more in that than I normally would. I really just should probably do some research and stop whining about it and aggravating it. But that is where we were at for the flip through of my health and fitness planner. I'm still tracking. The number one thing that I was the worst at, I would say, is tracking cycle and intimacy for the month of November. I definitely have dropped the ball on that. Like, if I don't have the gel pens that I need or the markers that I need to mark it right then and there, I will completely forget about it and then go to fill it in several days later and find myself completely wondering what happened 2 days ago in those categories. So I'm definitely learning that I'm one of those people when it comes to expenses, health, and fitness. I need to track it right then and there. When it comes out to like to-do lists or things I did throughout the day or kind of the things that I track in my Kokuyo and Hobonichi, those I can remember. I'm just not good at the more granular details. So I definitely have to make sure that I keep those materials on hand if I'm going to fill that out regularly. I'm going to leave the Avec for last because it's our favorite. Or I feel like it is kind of the favorite child just because it is fun and it's colorful and it's memory keeping and it's just lovely. So we're gonna just get into the Kokuyo. I can't believe that I only have one more flip in my Kokuyo before we're done with it for at least a year. And that just blows my mind that I'm almost done with it. It's like a bittersweet thing. I really loved having 2 years in it. And I feel like it helped tremendously. I'm gonna scoot this over and see if that makes this shadow a little less obnoxious. I'm really sorry about that. That's too far. I'm gonna try to find a middle ground. Okay, that's not terrible. I want to scooch it a little bit more. But that way the most of what the shadow is on is the cover and it's not super annoying. Okay, so I used my super cute Coffee Monster Co. washi from one of the subscription kits. I'm still playing the world's tiniest violin over the fact that I missed out on the last quarter subscription, and I am still crossing my fingers, toes, and organs that I will get in on the overstocks. And I do tend to have ninja fingers, and I am hoping Jay, thank you so much. I'm sad to leave the Kokuyo. I thought it was really amusing that I didn't realize how it did not do well with watercolor until so late in me owning one, because watercolor was something I put in my Hobonichi quite regularly when I had them before. But I also think that the Kokuyo gave me structure where I really needed it. And if you were hanging out with us last week or you've watched the replay, then you'll have heard me talk about it. Helped me learn where I wanted to put stuff going forward. So you're going to really see very similar layouts. Things are really not going to change from where they're at on the page if we're talking about a weekly sense. I think that when I realized how vital and helpful it was to have a daily page, and I feel like one thing about me having so many planners and also, traveling between the houses and work and remote and all of that, I think it just got too much to have so many at play all the time, like just these 4. And then I've got other planners with me to come out here for the night just to start working on like 2024 prep, and they're traveling with me everywhere. I feel like I'm a small business shop with how many I have on the go right now. But it's just too much to carry. So I am looking forward to it. I am also completely and utterly unfiltered terrified about having my daily pages and weeklies and monthlies all in one book, and that it's bound. It doesn't have like that flex binding. I have missed Hobonichi and I'm very excited to be back in it. I'm glad I used my little Avec as my crash test dummy, and I think I'm slowly settling into it's okay for a change. But I love that you guys are being super supportive in the change as well, because I was very scared about that as well, with the fact that a lot of my content for the last 2 years has been Kokuyo, and there's so very little out there about it. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to a new little journey. As far as habit tracking goes, I did stick with keeping off percentages. I liked having percentages. I feel like they played a role and a part. Again, I do enjoy structure quite a bit. I think that's just my personality. Like, I want to know, I like seeing the structure and the lines so that I can color them in and get creative with it. But like once I know what the plan is, then I can just move forward. And I feel like if I set myself up like that, I'm good. But the problem with the percentages is I feel like it really created a mental struggle, because if something wasn't 100%, then I was really struggling with why wasn't 100%. And that goes back to working with my cycle or working with my hormones or working with my schedule. Like, was it outside of my control or in my control? Like, I can 100% say that in October and September, it was traveling, being exhausted from traveling, busy getting ready to travel with work. Like, I know where those gaps came from. And then obviously we roll into holiday season. So I just don't think that percentages for me work year round. And I could definitely see that as I moved into quarter 3. And I think if I had not had the September travel, September would have been a lot more successful. But for now, I think just leaving it a simple tracker and letting it do its job is great. As you can see, it does look a little bit better than October did. I still think some of my biggest struggles that I would want to work towards would be getting back on track with supplements, and again logging that mood and energy to see how it interacts with certain time frames of the month. A really easy way for me to tell how I'm doing on energy and mood is by just simply looking at the tracker. Is it filled out? Because if my mood and my energy are low, then I'm less apt to A, fill it out, or B, do any of the tasks on it. So I feel like that's an indicator in of itself. Obviously, the things that have stuck around for a long time, like my wake up time, working out, my steps, my calories, my water, all of that stuff that rotates every single month gets the most attention. But I really would like to spend more time on things like the 10-minute projects and reading and getting back into my crafting. I think that by making it a point to do the Project Life weekly style again is really going to help with that. I'm very curious too with you guys. I know that so many of you are planners, but do you guys actually do any other crafting? And if so, what? Like, I know a lot of people in the Coffee Monster Co. group sew and do crocheting and fun things like that. So obviously I'm a paper crafter through and through. And I'm very much looking forward to getting back to documenting memories in a different way. Project Life is just something that I legitimately started this channel on, and I connected with my very best friend on. So I think that it's just so much a part of me that not getting to do it kind of makes me sad. So it's great to have the Hobonichi and kind of journal and vent, but it's so wonderful for me to be able to share those spreads with other people and let their memories get documented, and for them to see something outside of an Instagram reel or highlight. And I think there's so much value to that. And I feel the same way about flipping through my planners. Like, it's so much more gratifying than scrolling through an Instagram feed, but to see like what the thoughts and feelings were and the to-do list of that day, not just the highs or the lows. So I think that that's really fun. So I look forward to doing that with you guys too next year. There's not much more I can say about the habit tracker other than that's what it is. It is what it is. And I'm making a stronger go at it in December. And I feel like I've done okay. Again, not being able to work out consistently, I think, has been the hardest for me, because it's not just like, oh, it only hurts when I run. It's like, it hurts if I sleep on it wrong or anything like that. And I'm not quite used to something that sticks around for 2 months. So hopefully I can get that fixed up in the new year too and get back to having my workout time. In terms of November, I know I mentioned it in several videos that I had a major pest control issue. So as far as my cleaning list goes, I was cleaning all day, every day. It felt like, obviously there was, there are some days in there that got skipped, but in terms of the cleaning list, I really feel very strong about it. The things that aren't checked off to me are bigger projects, like wiping down cabinets or like doing baseboards and things. Some things are checked off, but not completely. Obviously, with the fact that I was quite literally doing my countertops and vacuuming every single day, meant that things like craft cubes and craft carts and certain random odds and ends just didn't get done. I was completely exhausted and envious of people that have cleaning services, because that was too much. One thing I was really bummed about and have not gotten back on track with since the vacations and the trips and the prep and the recoup has been posting to Coffee Monster Co. I love posting there and interacting there, but it is a bit of a rabbit hole. And when you are bogged down with other things, it becomes very hard to be a part of a group in that sense. I love interacting in that group and I love being in that group. And I do think that I was more than a little salty. about missing out on the Q4 subscription and missing out on registering for the new year with the way that it got structured. There was just a lot of feelings that I had, and I absolutely love Helen and the way that she runs that company. So it was nothing personal towards her, and it was definitely things I could have prevented. But it didn't make me any less cranky about it. So I think I just needed to take a break and back away for a little bit, but I am looking forward to posting spreads in the new year and getting back into the group. I'm also going to be in a Moon Magic Masterminds group. So I don't think I'm going to be as active in Coffee Monster Co., but when I am, I'll definitely be notating it on my social media tracker, which is basically my monthly layout. It's where all of my YouTube videos get planned out. It's where I mark down if I've posted something to the Facebook group or even to YouTube, or not YouTube, Instagram. And I do want to try to post more spreads as I complete them in those weeks. Considering I'm going back to the Project Life weekly format, I think that'll be nice. And I'd love to put more planner content on there, because it's so strange to me that so much of my channel was built off planners and there's almost little to no planner content on my Instagram at all. So it would be nice to interact with more of you guys over there. I kind of tend to like keep everything in its own little bubble, which is weird. Not weird, but it's how it is. Okay, so this is the first week of November in the weekly section. I feel very strongly that there is a plan with me for this, because I remember getting irritated that I really started to get into, I was clearly influenced by, here, I'm going to scooch this a little bit more. I'm so sorry, but it throws me off that it's not centered to any capacity. I was really into Helen's way of incorporating colored inks into her spreads, and I've been doing it legitimately for weeks at that point. I did it a bunch in October, and I loved how those were turning out, and I wanted to carry it over. I think this is legitimately my favorite one of all of them that I've done. I love the gray with the brown and just the softness. But I wanted to do the black and the gray with the whole monochromatic, really pretty washi. And I was really good the first 2 days. And then I guess I just forgot. And then it all became black ink from there, which was kind of annoying. This is also when I started doing the gratitude in the bottom space. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier with going back to Hobonichi. I 100% feel comfortable that I'll have space at the top to do weather, have plenty of space to put to-do lists. I'll actually have more space because Kokuyos are A5 slim, so there's a little bit less room. And I really didn't think I would notice it, because I went from, when I made the switch back to Kokuyo, I had been in Passion Planner for off and on about a year. It just wasn't working for me, so I wasn't really consistent with it. But whenever I went back into the Kokuyo, it really didn't feel like that big of a change until I put the Kokuyo next to the Hobonichi for next year, and I realized how much space it was. It really doesn't feel like that much space, but like this whole box would fit comfortably into the new spreads. It was just wild to me. But I definitely feel comfortable and love that I've had this room down here to play. And I'm just kind of reaching a point where I don't necessarily need so many things sectioned off. I just need kind of an open column to really play again. But it was really nice to have a gratitude tracker. I kept it going for the whole month, and it's so cute for me to like look back and see everything. Anything where there's not a gratitude listed, I made sure to list it in my Hobonichi A6, it's a A6. I put it in there just to make sure I was still keeping up with it. But I think these were really the only two incidences where that happened. But like I said, I'm pretty sure there's a plan with me, so I'm not really going to talk too much about the spread. If there's a particular question you have about any of the spreads or products used, I know that you guys have been around long enough to know it's a lot of Coffee Monster Co. product, but in this particular case, this is the Vila Beautiful and Dana Dunn collaboration. And I bought 3 rolls of that washi because it's absolutely lovely. And that was excessive, admittedly. Some of the other things I love looking back on is Jeff getting his first buck at Monroe. That was like such a memorable, fun thing to be able to document. Being that he's had the property for a little bit now, but that was like the first one. So that just felt really special for a lot of reasons. And it was also the first buck of the season. So that was really fun too. I was really excited to use the Guy Fawkes sticker I had in my stash too, because I almost forgot about it until someone in my Coven group mentioned that it was Guy Fawkes Day there. And I was just super excited. And so of course I had to watch the movie. Going into the next week, I finally stopped hoarding my fall critters. I only have a sample of fall critters. I don't have full washi rolls. And so I've been using it very sparingly and carefully. This is one of those weeks I actually didn't do multi-pin spreads. And I'm totally okay with that. It was nice to just have a clean, somewhat normal week, but I love using those like soft orange colors. Again, one of the prettiest things to see through the whole month are the gratitude trackers. I think it just brought me so much joy to see that. I think this week is very pretty. I don't see any whiteout, which is really impressive and is really causing me to consider if I planned it post or in real time, because it is just way too pretty to feel like it wasn't. Love, hate with this spread. I think I needed a rainbow week, but I don't love the colors that I chose in this at all. And I really struggle with having like the perfect oranges and yellows to really accompany some of the washies I have. I just don't feel like I necessarily have the best color combinations. I like how the pink turned out. And you'll see like the biggest mistake being that I wanted to do work in black and keep everything personal in pink. And then I didn't continue that on. I think that's why I dislike it so much. I also don't love that there doesn't seem to be like some consistency with this washi. Like I really should have gone with like either all emojis, like had these be emoji based too, instead of kind of like the neighborhood and then the galaxy. I don't know. It's just a little too hodgepodge for my taste. I do love the reading and resting washi with that. It's called Sesame Gray from Uniball 1. It's such a pretty soft gray. So I love how that turned out. I'm pretty sure there's I think I was doing like every other week on Plan With Me's, but I cannot with any great clarity tell you which ones anymore. This was the week of Thanksgiving. I decided to do the entire thing in, I believe it's khaki is the name of the color. It's a Uniball Signo DX in 0.38, and I am pretty sure it's called khaki is the color of the ink. And I love how perfectly it looked with this fall washi. Obviously, you can tell I was really excited about getting the fall washies in at the time. But I also just think that that's the perfect week for it. All the fun chords and the fall festival vibes that it gives, and the little bear is just too cute. I think at one point I was considering like using that Sesame Gray again to do kind of like the dual color ink and not using black, but I'm really happy with how this turned out, and that the pops of gray and orange and brown are just in different places. It's really cute. And this is the last week of November and into those first couple days of December. So what's funny is one of the first washies that I ever got, ever knew about, period, was the Magical Forest washi. I came into Coffee Monster Co. quite literally, I think maybe a week. I don't even think it was that far out from her birthday sale. And this was the birthday sale, or the anniversary sale, I'm sorry, that she released this. And I was so upset because I had missed out on it. And I didn't even know that there was a website at that time. I just thought it was an Etsy. So I learned a lot very quickly, and by pre-order was completely immersed and had spent way too much money on stickers. And I wasn't mad about it. But I definitely wanted to use up some of the Magical Force washi. So one of the first ways that I got washi was from just samples off Etsy. And then I went on to find Pippi Plans and get some. My first actual rolls came from Pippi Plans. They didn't even come from Coffee Monster Co. I don't even think it was until pre-order maybe that I got my first real like good size stash. I feel like Classic Emojis might have snuck its way in there. I know there's definitely some mega TCMC fans out there that could probably timeline it better than I could. And if I wasn't in the middle of a live stream and could look it up, I could timeline it. But I definitely know Magical Forest was my first. And I obviously still have the samples, and I haven't even opened the rolls that I got from Pippi Plans yet. So I thought it was totally fine to use across an entire spread. And to me, there's something really magical about leaving November and entering December, like really getting into that holiday spirit, and things really start to twinkle and the winter vibes are starting. So I think that that was really fun for me to like play with all the fairies and the soft kind of Christmassy colors, but not outright Christmas, but still have little elements of fall. So I wish I had used more of the actual kits, because I still obviously have a bunch of those, but I did not that particular week. One last thing I want to show in the Kokuyo before we move on to the AVEC is something that I quite often forget to show, and that's my watching tracker. So I know that I flipped through it for September and October. I don't have a lot listed for November, and that is because I kind of went on a Western binge. I wanted to watch the newer season of Yellowstone. I wanted to watch 1923. I was a little bummed because I really was waiting for the part 2s of both of those to kind of release, and they just weren't coming out. And it was a really good time to take a pause in between all of the Halloween spooky movies. And before I got in the throes of my holiday watch list, I wanted to just kind of do some Western stuff. So obviously I watched Yellowstone 1923. I caught up and watched the last season, or the most recent season of Just Like That, which was really cute. The English, which I would recommend, and then dove right on into the holiday movies. I have a rule about my watch list, which is I don't list it if I've already watched it. I only list the newer things. So for instance, I did do a rewatch of 1883, and I did cry all over again because it was wonderful. But I didn't relist it because that was just silly to me. I liked 1923. I wouldn't write home about it. I love the 1920 aesthetic. I'm a huge fan of that era and just the style. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And it has such a dark side and a very film noir side, but it's also just glitz and glamour and lovely. All my cars are named, or both of my cars have been named after Great Gatsby characters. I'm a 1920s fan for sure. But I just didn't like it. It didn't hit the same as 1883, and I'm really glad I watched Yellowstone before all the coffee drama happened. If you haven't heard about it, just Google it. But yeah, I feel like that would have tarnished it a little bit for me. But just some fun holiday movies if you guys are sick of the oldies and the goodies. If you are looking for an adult comedic movie, watch Holiday. It's absolutely hilarious. And it was actually filmed locally near my mom's house, which was really fun. And the thought of knowing that I could have probably staked out a couple areas and run into Kristen Chenoweth makes me sad that I missed that opportunity, because I would have just sung wicked songs to her if I ever ran into her, because she is the best Galinda that ever was. Obviously, you can see I have just enough room to finish out the year. I don't know how I'm going to carry this into 2024 quite yet. I may just document it on a daily sense. Obviously, I document it in the weekly spreads as well. But I do like the element of being able to rate it as well. So that just might be a daily page activity. So that does it for the Kokuyo. I'm going to take a sip of wine and take a breath. And then we can dive into the last little, very jam-packed little AVEC. Okay, so as I said, this super cutie definitely gave way to me remembering how much I love daily pages. Then, of course, I had to go dive into my stash and realize how much I miss them because I was flipping through old Hobonichis trying to make my final decision, which probably I shouldn't have done because then I got nostalgic and then definitely wanted one. But I love my daily pages for the fact that now that I've seen people like Helen and others use them more than just as a diary, but also as a place to pre-plan and to make their to-do list and break out a longer list or break out a shorter list. It's really helped me a lot. I think that it's helped with efficiency. I think that it's helped with me having to deal with back planning. I'm going to be really curious to see how that works when I get started in the new planner, because again, these books are going to be combined. So am I going to be flipping back and forth constantly in video? I hope not. But it's definitely a possibility. But I do love being able to use this kind of time-stamped bar as a great place for me to put to-do lists. I think it's worked out well. And then using the right-hand sign kind of like a diary. Again, similar to Helen and a lot of other Hobonichi users. I think it's really great to be able to see kind of both side by side. Obviously, we're going to start November off with Dia de los Muertos, which was fun. I actually got to be remote that day and watched a really cool documentary, which was nice, before I rolled into, like, obviously Coco and Book of Life. I think last year I made enchiladas with that. I don't remember what we ate this year, now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know what I did. If I sneeze, I'm really sorry. I just feel that tickle and I feel like it's coming. But I did get to be remote and I did keep it pretty calm. I know I was playing a little bit of film catch up that day. Going into the second, just digging into some older sticker books. That's been another really big reason to keep this around. I feel like I am smashing through my stickers because I can sit there with kind of a use it up box on my coffee table, and then whenever I go to start documenting that day, I immediately go through like those older stickers to see if I can like grab something and go ahead and get rid of it, and it's really been helping. So I think it's going to be nice to keep doing that into the new year and just feel like I'm using my supplies. Got a good little to-do list going on this page. Again, I love just kind of the aesthetic, just like that soft kind of homebody vibe. It's very nice. Lots of cleaning. Yeah, and this is where I did realize that we had a flea problem and that begot like all the cleaning. I did so much research on home remedies and I have learned so much that I didn't think I ever needed to know. And I hope that I'm done with it, but goodness gracious, it was quite a thing. I love this because this was the first time I got to have meatballers at the Truck and Tap near my house, which is still really new. But I've been eating meatballers since like 2017. when she was just one food truck. So it brings me joy to watch her expand, but also it brought me joy that I didn't have to drive 40 minutes to get one of my favorite things from one of my favorite people. So it was a very full cleaning escapade and lots of pre-planning and exhaustion and frustration. So the meatballs brought me happiness. In between cleaning, I was binge watching Yellowstone, and I watched the entire part 1 of season 5 in one day. And then I moved on to, I think I moved straight into the rewatch of 1883 at that point to prep for 1923. Jeff and I met 10 Plate in the middle of the day, which was really nice. I love going there. Even if the pimento cheese burns my mouth to pieces, I still love it. I love the symmetry in these pages. I think this is great. I love using up all of these day stickers as well. That's kind of nice. This is me doing some pre-planning for some of the Coffee Monster Co. washi that I would want. If you guys have seen that unboxing video, then you also heard me rant about how I'm finally realizing I don't need 3 rolls of something. And that took, I have 5 rolls of the Biome washi, which is nauseating to even say out loud. But after Helen did her whole use up a washi roll experiment, which I'm still mourning for her that she lost that washi roll so close to the end. But yes, I'm realizing I can, especially with these because they were winter themed, and I don't live in a place where it snows for more than like a day. If we're lucky, we get 1 snow day a year. So it just didn't seem really applicable. However, the winter critters were adorable and seemed very applicable, especially this week, which I'm using them to plan with me. So you'll get to see that and all the pretty color combos I did with that. Our long-term care event was on the 7th, which I was really excited about. I was super bummed that Jen didn't get to come, but it was still delicious, and I still ate too many onion rings, and it was great. This was the Thanksgiving pre-planning, so I knew what I wanted to cook for Jeff's family Thanksgiving, but then I also had gotten really used to the fact that we come home with a good bit of leftovers, which, you know, of course bit me in the butt because we came home with no leftovers this year, which I was really, really, really shocked at, but really happy because it meant that the house was really full and we all had a great time. But I was trying to gather like a couple things too, because I know the grocery stores are pretty cleaned out still, and a lot of people don't do Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving proper. So I just wanted to make sure we had like potatoes and stuffing and extras of things to kind of make fresh sides and eat the leftovers. So now I have a bunch of sides and I have no meats. So it's fine. I'll make stuffing one of these days. The 9th was really crazy. It was just a completely barbaric work day. And I was also pre-planning things that I wanted to do. So that, I think the 9th was, not looking at a calendar, I'm wondering, I think the 9th was the Thursday that we were actually in, and I was pre-planning for the Friday that we were off, because that doesn't normally happen where we're all off on a Friday, but we were all off to observe Veterans Day, and I wanted to go ahead and get a head start on a lot of Christmas stuff, like picking up items at a couple different stores and also going to get my tree and treating myself to going out to Ponds to do some of that shopping. I was very proud that I chose to delay my Bellina by about a week or so for when I had to do my donut pickup. This is a ton of journaling and not a lot of to-dos. I needed to go by my house or my mom's house and notarize some stuff for her and pick up my tree. Binks got up really, really early that day, so I was really out the gate quite early. I think I called her somewhere around like 8 to let her know I was in the area. The 11th is probably one of my favorite days of the whole month. Jeff and I had just a super cozy day. I got to plan all of my planners and he was working on some post-hunting projects. So it was really just a cozy day, and I was, again, planning out groceries for Thanksgiving just to make sure we had everything that we needed. And then we were just cooking lots of comfy food that day. He wanted kind of like a small batch of the sweet potato casserole I make, which was nice. And I made us some very interesting grilled cheese sandwiches. I cannot advocate. I have officially decided I just don't like prosciutto warmed up. I just don't. The next page is just kind of a to-do list account of my Hobonichi 5 year. So every so often I like to remind myself how far behind I am in Hobonichi for the year. And so I was 102 pages behind over the months. So PSA for those of you out there wanting to get a Hobonichi 5 year, it is a whole endeavor. But I was continuing the 1923 watch that afternoon, and then the next day was the new moon in Scorpio. So I just did a spread and talked about the cards I pulled. I didn't get really in depth. I just listed the question and the card that I pulled. Next year, I do want to journal more about those, because typically I would do a spread, pull a card, and then journal about how I feel about that card. But obviously, this is not the best platform for that. This journal, anyway, the A5 is just, or the A6 is just so small. I got the chance to talk with my grandmother that day. She actually scared the crap out of me because she called me at work and very early in the day for her to be awake. She's very late riser typically. Then I've got obviously a cleaning binge and a struggle bus situation. I was also theming every day to, this was the rainbow week. So I had the pink day, the orange day, the yellow day. And I definitely think I'll do that going into the new year. I really would like to see me theme more consistently from the week to the dailies. I just think it's nice to have the consistency. This is obviously the green day and the blue day. So, should I leave early? Yes, I did actually leave early, because I had the margin for it. So I did. We had a very grand adventure that day, and I do not recall it going particularly well. I don't remember why, though. Oh, we drove all the way to the deer processor, and our dinner plans just constantly moved about 50 million times on the ride out there and back. So it was quite a thing. So that was just a miniature rant about that confusion. Then we've got the blue day, nothing really major to note. I kind of ate really healthy that day. And again, it's that time of the month where my weight does tend to go down and I do want the healthier things. So I wasn't really shocked, but I was really shocked to see that it had gone down. Saturday was purple, and then Sunday was the reading and resting, kind of like gray beige color. I was making some Black Friday lists possibly for Helen's sale. I actually ended up not taking part in any Black Friday or Cyber Monday shopping with Coffee Monster Co., which still shocks me. I finally placed the bare minimum of what I need for 2024 the other day, and I'm going to be really interested to see if it gets here and what the timeline on that is going to be. I do know a lot of orders in the queue are subscription related, and I also know that a lot of orders in the queue got affected by kind of like a washi sticker shortage situation. I did finally order, though, all of my planner supplies on that Saturday. So it was really fun to be able to document that and know that I'd finally made a choice on a planner much, much later than I thought, because I knew that if I wanted to go into Hobonichi for 2024, I really wanted to make sure that it was the English version. I was kind of dead set on that, and those don't come out until later in the season. So I had to wait and make a good solid choice. That's when I started watching the English, which was very good. I finally joined the group and watched The Little Mermaid on the 20th. I like all the color pens that I used here and these super cute little corner steps from James Burke Creative. I'd like to go back and paint them in. I think those are super lovely. I I gave Little Mermaid 3.5 stars. That's just where I'm going to leave it there. It was a very busy day, it looks like, on the 21st. Oh, I was like, what is happening? So my heart is full. So I came home on the 21st and I thought for sure I was going to come home and barricade myself in the apartment. I don't even remember what I was going to eat, but I remember it being self-care oriented. And I was very ready to just sit down and watch a movie and not talk to anybody and just play in my planners. And I came home and I went to the package room to get my Advent, and lo and behold, found out that we were doing Friendsgiving, and Jeff was with his family doing a oyster fish fry type of situation. And he didn't get into bed until after 5. I didn't get into bed until after midnight. It was so full of laughter and great times on both parts, just separately, and it was hilarious. Like, my heart felt so full, and I was so glad that I stayed and I hung out with everybody, because I just don't do that enough. And it just made me remember that peopling outside of work is not the same as peopling inside of work, and I kind of needed that reminder. But it was lovely to spend time with everybody, and it encouraged me to get out a little bit more. The next day I went to Ponce, which was kind of funny because we got to bed so late. And then I kind of had to, unfortunately, tell Jeffrey that we were going to have to get started pretty much earlier than I had envisioned so that I could get to Ponce and get him to his truck. So after that, I came home and I worked on, some Thanksgiving prep, because the next day was also Thanksgiving. So I wanted to prep the sweet potato casserole. Jeff special requested his lasagna, which is definitely his favorite comfort food, and he ate directly from the pan. It was heathenous and wonderful at the same time. But yes, I got the chance to do that. I did rewatch Rogue One, and considering that throughout this Star Wars binge, I have been learning all kinds of things, I watched Rogue One with new eyes and absolutely loved it, and I've really not loved it in the past. Thanksgiving is Thanksgiving. It was full. It was wonderful. We watched the parade. We ate too much. I literally think that I was going to explode. I still can't believe that there were no leftovers. It was wonderful. Friday, Jeff went golfing, and so I was really focused on just trying to deep clean, because obviously the bug issue was still happening, and I really hadn't had much chance to clean with Thanksgiving and all the other things going on. And then I finally started to get the tree set up. The pest control people no-showed me, and that was a whole upsetting thing. But Jeff and I did get a fun lunch date out of it, which was nice. And I did get some other things done. It just felt like such a waste of a day, because so much of Friday had been prep for the pest control and just kind of like cleaning and moving things, that I was just really irate that I'd woken up at 5 o'clock in the morning on pretty much one of my last days to do so before going back to work. So that's never fun. Moving into the last couple of days of November, obviously I was starting all my holiday watching. I've officially decided that Miracle on 34th Street should be the first movie that you watch, especially if you watch the parade, because they happen literally one right after the other. Like, that's kind of how the movie starts, is with the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And I highly encourage you to watch the original, not the Mara Wilson. Nothing wrong with that. I can't be mad at any Attenborough, dead or alive. So, still really great, but the original is better. Then I kind of went down the rabbit hole of the holiday romance. So I love how this page turned out with like the super cute little sitting emoji. Then we had full moon in Gemini. So the same thing, just kind of drawing out what spread I used and what the questions were. I do like the kind of like glitter pink going on. That's quite lovely. This is where I had a to-do list, but then I also started thinking of Yule ideas. So when it comes to Sabbats, I really try to make sure that all of my meals are very steeped in correspondences, and I try to make sure that I'm really like in touch with it. I'm definitely an eclectic witch, but I'm more importantly a kitchen witch at my core, and I love spending the whole day, or as much as I can of that day, in the kitchen. So that was really nice to be able to go ahead and start writing out some ideas. Obviously, if you guys joined me on the 29th, then you know that we had our first live stream in so long, and so that was really great. I watched Noelle earlier in the day, and that's another really cute holiday movie if you haven't seen it. I just think it's adorable. I tried red wine hot cocoa, and if you guys were in that and you know how much, I think I took like 3 sips and I couldn't do it anymore. And then I did end up trying the wine by itself later on, and I didn't like the wine either. So I don't know if it was just maybe like overall a bad combo. And I have since had proper hot chocolate with Bailey's in it and redeemed this god awful recipe, but it was just not good. And then the last day of the month is quite simply a to-do list and my final decisions for what I wanted to make for Yule. Christmas with my mom, which we're going to do a sleepover, slumber party style Christmas, which I'm really excited about. And it's going to be very silly and fun. I'm planning like kind of like a Grinch brunch. And then we're going to have our traditional like roast and mashed potatoes Christmas Eve that we've always done. And then I've already figured out what I want to make for Unger Christmas, wherever it is held. I've kind of been saddled with stuffed mushrooms, but I like making my sweet potato casserole as well. It's kind of easy and it's easy to prep in advance. Maybe I'll make green beans and pears. I did it I think last year. So overall, that is November. I am so excited to see what we get up to in December. And obviously we'll post that flip when we get there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I know this is a lot of planners to go through and a lot to listen to if you're listening to the replay. Thank you for that. A couple quick reminders in the channel videos now. You can do super chat and super thanks. So if we are in a live stream, you guys can use super chat to contribute monetarily, and then also if it is just a standard posted upload video, you guys can use super thanks. In a lot of videos you'll find affiliate links as well. They will not cost you anything to use, but they do give me a little kickback. So whether that's for Ritual Planner or for Coffee Monster Co., if you open a video and you don't see one, just message me about it and I'm happy to give it to you. Otherwise, I will catch you guys next week, and we're going to talk about 2024 planning and setups and where I'm at with that, and how minimal I actually plan for a whole year. Definitely planning for January, but that's a separate video in of itself. But thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out, and I hope you guys have a lovely evening. If you're checking out the meteor shower, let me know how many you see if you're staying up that late to watch it. But thank you guys for hanging out, and I will catch you guys next week. As a reminder, there will be an upload on Sunday. I'm going to be talking about Yule, what I'm making, and doing the unboxing of the Ritual Planner box from Ritual Planner for Yule. So until then, enjoy creating your own little wonderlands, everybody. Bye.